settle the dispute, and we'll be bound by whatever the decision is.
On the arbitration, my father was an arbitrator. I'm pretty familiar with it. It only works because the central government imposes the award of the arbitrator. The losing party can't back out because they use force to make him comply with the arbitration award. But here's the thing here is, you say that this is not there is no ideal situation. The point is that people are not willing to risk armed military conflict in the streets, and that is not happening now.
I'm not saying that they should.
And so, but this is the natural consequence of not having a central government. We haven't even begun to speak about the gangs that, and we can speak about them later, but that predators, they prey on who they consider weak. A security service that thinks they can impose without any cost because the other one will back down is the one that I'm saying is going to do it first. But guess what? They are surprised that the other security agency has more firepower than they thought and is willing to fight back. And now you have a real war here in the United States. That is one of the big risks of anarchism, and that's why most people won't go for it, because it's too big a risk, and it's too clear to see why this happens.
Well, but I don't think it's a risk, because the defense, the agency that is able to solve their disputes in a peaceful manner not only will have a better reputation, but will be significantly cheaper and will attract more customers. One that has to use violence every time they want to solve a dispute is going to be very expensive. Look, there's an excellent book by Bruce Benson called The Enterprise of Law, where he looks at societies in the absence of a state. And one of the things that happened is, someone made a case, some guy is guilty of committing a crime. Now, what happens if he says, I'm not going to accept my punishment? Well, what they would say is, we're going to declare you an outlaw. And what that means is, if anyone has a dispute with you, we're not going to recognize your right to defend yourself because you're not agreeing to be bound by the laws now. And we're going to allow anyone to kill you with immunity and not come to your aid. So if you don't want to take your punishment, there's a lot of risks that go with it.
Yeah. I think that ostracizing people can work in a lot of situations, but not always. And some things are too serious to leave them to a penalty of being ostracized or not doing business with you or not protecting you, because if they're going to get the death penalty anyway, they still prefer not to get it and take their chances. And the people that don't know. There's another mistake in your thinking here, which is that the only motivation in human beings' actions is economic gain, and then that's the hope and so there are situations where people will forego what they consider to be in their economic self-interest because they have some other higher value that they think is more important. And that's why in the beginning I tried to show you the diversity and the depth of differences of opinion. Sharia law, Mormon law. There's no way to arbitrate these things. And either you think honor killing is correct, or you think it's murder. And you can't negotiate that. And sometimes these people are so adhered to these values, in my view, in this case, mistaken, that they're willing to fight for it and die for it. And so forget economic gain. So this is the reason why Ayn Rand, for example, threw out anarchism out the window, because she said, look, this is such an obvious development when people have all these disagreements. Right now they have There's millions of disagreements. By the way, I think there's more in the courts than in the arbitration, but there's millions. And if all of these things didn't have finality in the law, a way of finalizing, they just fester and go on forever, and people welch. They don't. They welch on the arbitration, and they're willing to fight, and you have armed conflict, military conflict. That is the real downside. That's one of the real downsides of an anarchist system, which, as you know, by the way, I'm happy for people to try it, and I would wish them well, and hope that I'm wrong.
Look,